and he's a big man. Apparently he's like 230 something, 240 something.
Mm-hmm.
Just looks like an absolute gorilla. But
Who's that?
Jocko Willink.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get Jocko Willink. I've never been able to make a contact with him. I have an email address for him, but he responds to his emails pretty much the same way I do.
I use his gis. Like he partnered with this company called Origin Gis, and their gis are amazing. I have like 4 of their gis. I had them for like 3+ years, but I've been trying to just like pound them down and get some of theirs. I'm like, I want to work with you guys somehow because your gis are so good. The cool thing is like the top and bottoms are different because my lower body is way bigger than my upper body.
Oh.
So every time I'd get other gis, like the top would be too big or the bottom was too small. But
We know how
custom.
big your lower body is.
Oh yeah, you do. Let's not talk about how well my legs are big, but my wee wee's not that impressive. But what I was gonna say,
Well, because your legs are big, though. It's in comparison.
Right.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I've been wondering all these
Like
years,
how-
like why do I
put
look
my
so
leg-
tiny?
Like how big could Shaq's dick look, right? He's
Right?
like such a huge
Comparison.
person.
Mhm.
Can only look so big.
His lady's so small. That's such a scary thing.
Oh God, I know.
I'm not gonna go deeper with that. I'm gonna just hold it there. But I was gonna say the fact that we weren't gonna go to the Arnold right earlier. My mom, she's been telling me, she's been like, Nsima, you need to talk to Mark. You need to talk to Mark. This coronavirus, you can't go there with all these people. You need to talk to Mark. I'm like, Mom, it's okay. We'll just be sanitary. Just pray.
Does she know I'm sending you guys first?
Keep us there for 2 days.
Yeah.
Make sure we don't get sick, and then you come on down. Dude, when I told her that we weren't going after you put up that video, she was legit jumping for joy.
Oh.
She was screaming, "Yay!" And then I told her this morning, "Yo, looks like we are going." She's
So-
like, "Oh God, you need to talk to Mark."
Same, very similar situation with me and Stephanie. You know, so like I told her, I called her on the way home yesterday, and I'm just like, hey, like no guarantees. Like I don't know what this means for us. But, you know, the Arnold's canceled and Mark just put this on his Instagram. But we also just said, like, hey, let's not, like, do anything crazy. We'll figure it out in the morning. I'm like, so, you know, bad news is, like, we have, like, murderer's row of, like, podcasts lined up that are not going to happen if we don't go.
Mhm.
Good news is, you know, we don't have that, like, whole thing of travel. But I'm like, but we don't know yet.
Yeah.
And then this morning on the way in, of course, I hit heavy traffic, so I couldn't, like, really explain everything, but I'm like, we're still going. And she's like,
She's
like, okay, well, I'll start packing. You know, it's just, yeah.
My girl told me a whole list of things I need to have. She's like, you need to have gloves. You need to have extra latex gloves. You need to get a face mask. She's like, don't go near people. Like my girlfriend was like telling me all these things I need to do. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, so a mask is not supposed to help.
Apparently it's not.
According to some of the stuff I've seen. Mouth tape might be able to help because nasal breathing might be somewhat of a defense. And that actually makes some sense. And there's even a little bit of like kind of science to back that up. We have some defense mechanisms in our nose and we don't really have that in our mouth. So that makes some sense, especially when it comes to breathing in more so than breathing out, I guess. And then another thing is I just read an article that was amazing about vitamin D3 and about, you know, getting your vitamin D levels up. And it was saying, in addition to getting the vitamin D levels up, I mean, you could just do this through supplementation. So you can get out in the sun if you have some sun availability, but we probably won't have a lot of that as an option in Columbus, although it might be bright out. It'll probably be kind of cold. So to get that kind of skin exposure to the sun probably won't be an option. But getting the vitamin D levels can be useful. And it's like, well, why not? You know, why not practice this? Why not bring some vitamin D with you? I know I'm going to make a pit stop. I already have some vitamin D, but I'm going to get some extra. Why not make a pit stop on my way home, get some extra vitamin D and load up on it? The amount that I was seeing was in the neighborhood of about 20,000 IUs.
Oh,
so
really?
That's a pretty hefty dosage. And the guy that wrote the article, I don't know if he was African American or what he was, but he said he was dark skinned, and he said that he actually needs more because of those people that are darker. They grow up around the equator or grow up around sunlight more, so they are, I guess, they're already used to sunlight. They're already used to that, so they need to take a little bit more to get the same benefit. But it was an amazing article. It went through this whole. As I was reading it, I was like, man, I don't really read this much normally, you know. And it's going through this whole cycle of LL37, you know, because that's a byproduct of the D3 and stuff like that, or derivative. and I'm reading all this, and it's talking about how people are injecting themselves with this. What do you call those things?
Peptides.
Peptide. People are injecting themselves with this peptide, and they were saying that you actually don't need to go that far. All you need is increased vitamin D3 levels. And the information was great. I'll send it to Andrew, and Andrew, you can maybe attach it to this podcast.
Nice.
People can read it and check it out. It was super informative, and it pulled out studies from years ago on like swine flu and other viruses that have really taken people out. So, I mean, I really hope that this is all like precautionary, and I hope it's kind of a false alarm. But yeah, man, it's crazy. It is affecting a lot of people. And the guy that made the call in Ohio, the governor, I mean, who knows? Maybe he made the right decision. What if we look back on it and we're like, man, that was really stupid that we had, this sports festival or whatever, But a lot of things are being canceled.
I do think it makes a lot of sense, though, because if you think about it, like you're about to get, 250,000 people come down like, with the spectators and the athletes in one area from all around the world. Some of them are probably already sick with it, going to be interacting, not going to be washing hands when shaking hands. It makes sense. It sucks, but it really does make sense.
A lot of times we get sick when we go there anyway.
Yeah.
We get like some sort of weird something or other.
The first year I got so damn sick, like while we were there. I don't know what happened. Like my body hit like a extra gear that I didn't know I had, and I kind of got over it right away. And then when I got back, I was just like out. Every single year since then, I usually when we get back, I'm just like so drained that I'm usually like. It just feels like I caught like a pretty nasty cold, but it goes away pretty fast. But the last year, I think it was pretty chill. But
I think that we get sick though mainly from just lack of sleep.
Yes,
I think that's really the real
100%.
culprit. Like,
yeah,
yes, we are on a plane, we are exposed to other people, and there's a lot of shit going on, and
our defenses are down.
yeah, but I think our defenses are down because we're just not sleeping.
Yeah.
How many times have you told yourself, "Oh, I'll just sleep on the plane," and you don't. Well, I mean,
Never
what kind of
sleep? Dude.
what kind of sleep are you getting on the plane? Even if you do fall asleep, I mean, it's just crap sleep, and somebody's knocking into you, or you're getting woken up by something every couple of minutes, so you're not really getting any sort of real sleep on the plane.
Yeah, and that's the biggest culprit for your immune system anyway. When like on a day-to-day basis, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're gonna get sick with something. So one of the biggest defenses against this thing is anyway just getting yourself a full night's of sleep every single night.
Yeah,
but that vitamin D thing's really interesting. I usually do like 5,000 IUs, but I'm gonna be taking 5 of those 5,000 IU pills every day.
Yeah, I know. I was telling Mark, I'm like, I'm taking about 20,000 right now. And
you are?
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Well, it just natural, like thinking about the Arnold coming up before I even understood what the corona. I still don't know what it is, but like as far as it being potentially canceled and the thought of like, oh shit, like this might, be, the thought of getting the virus, right? I just started loading up because of the Arnold. And vitamin D3 just happened to be one of the things that I'm taking 4 of these 5,000 IU capsules. And then when he told me that today, I'm like, all right, 5 of these 5,000 IU capsules now. So
I was probably going in the wrong direction too, because like I've been, I started using Airborne more. Every now and then I'd use Airborne, but like recently I've been using Airborne every day. I probably vitamin D3 would have a bigger effect than that Airborne. I'm going to keep doing that too anyway because of the vitamin C.
Yeah.
I'm sure something can oppose this, there's always different information out there, but like basically it says it's fairly safe, to take, large levels of it, 20,000 IU a day.
Cool.
But it also says that just by going to the beach for a few days, your skin will have 200,000 IUs of D3. So, just to give you an idea, like you're not gonna do anything negative by taking some extra for a period of time. And again, I'm sure that somebody listening or some information somewhere can probably refute that, but I don't see the harm in it. I think it's hey, look, if it's gonna help and D3, like it doesn't usually cost that much, so
it's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap.
Just give it a shot.
Yeah. How about if you were to load up on some meat?
What kind of meat you talking about, baby?
I'm talking about the leanest, tenderest, juiciest, somehow cooks fasterest.
Is his name
meat.
Andrew? Wait, why are we cooking?
No.
Piedmontese.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about man meat.
Okay, my bad, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I just got a little notification saying that I got a package at home from Certified Piedmontese.
I wonder what their deal is. Are they still going to the Arnold? I guess they would have to cancel because they are.
They probably
they were exhibitors.
I
right?
wonder if they ship tons of meat.
Oh.
if we can just intercept it all.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I picked up my box, or I got the UPS guy right before I got to jiu-jitsu today. So it's right at home waiting for me to unpack it.
Did a double leg on him, just to give my beef.
Don't shoot him on double leg and take the beef.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Seriously, guys, the absolute best beef on the planet. If you're doing the carnivore diet or you're thinking about dipping your toes into the carnivore diet, the best way to go about it is with certified Piedmontese beef. It's leaner, it cooks faster, it's more delicious. It's just the best thing on the planet. Head over to Piedmontese.com. That's PIEDMONTESE.com. At checkout, enter promo code PowerProject for 25% off your order. And if your order is $99 more, you get free 2-day shipping. So you order like on Sunday and you get it by like Wednesday, which is what we're doing today.
By the way,
It's
man,
amazing.
I figured out how, at least for myself, because I'm not the best cook, I figured out how to cook that beef sirloin filet and make it good. Because usually, like, it's pretty good, but it's not as good as like their New York strips, their ribeyes, their flat irons. Usually when I cook it, it's not as like juicy, right? So you mentioned this, I think, tenderizing that thing. I didn't have a meat tenderizer, so I just
punched
used,
it.
yeah, I just used like the back of a spoon. I just went beat the hell out of that meat, flattened it out a little bit, evened it out, cooked it. It was so good. It was so good.
It makes a huge difference. It makes your cooking a little bit more idiot proof. I did that last night to some New York strips as well, and it was the same thing. I just actually punched them with my own with my own fist, and then it took. You just have to be really careful because it will cook super fast. I mean, Piedmontese cooks fast already. It will just cook super fast. So this is not something you can kind of walk away from because you're going to ruin it.
Yeah. Whoa, Joel Green. Hey, what's up?
Oh, what's up, Joe?
Yeah, I know. Just like either somebody took the name Joel Green or it's actually Joel Green. So I'll see what he has to say. But do you think you can get D3 and vitamin D? I'm stupid. So those are two different things.
No, it's just they could be, but as far as I know, just get D3. Yeah.
So I wonder, can you get that from?
There's D12 too, but they're from Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
There's D3 and K2 and vitamin A. I think they all like work pretty well together. They're all fat soluble supplements. These are things that wouldn't be best to take on an empty stomach. It would be best to take with food, especially with fat, since it's fat soluble. You want it to kind of digest.
Good to know.
Digest with fat. It could just be some fat that's in your coffee, or it could be just a fatty meal. That would be beneficial.
Wondering if you can get a lot of it from the like a Juve light, like a red light. Is that the same?
Yeah, that I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know how the different lights and stuff work, but I know you can get it from the sun. I know you can get it from some supplementation. You can also get it through dairy.
Yeah.
And then I don't think there's really like a lot of vitamin D in like meat, but I know that you can get it through dairy, through some milk, through some yogurt, and I think the more natural the stuff is, like if it's raw or grass fed or organic or any combination of those things, I think that might help a little bit too. So, but I'm just gonna take a supplement of it. I mean, I have been for years. I like vitamin D. I've been utilizing it pretty much since I found out about it. And years ago, when I was heavy and I was coming down in weight, I was still like, I don't know, I was still just like a fat guy, like mess, I guess you'd say. We'd go to these trade shows and stuff, and I would just be like really sweaty, and I was just super hot all the time. And I talked to Stan about it one time. I was like, dude, I'm like, these shows are killing me. And he's like, you know what? He said it made a big difference for me was vitamin D. He's like, I don't know if it's the diet, the combination of the diet. He's like, but I used to be like you. I'd sweat right through my shirt at these events and stuff. And anyway, it helped a lot. And it's just a thing that's inexpensive to do. Why not give it a shot? Why not mess with it? For a while, I was taking like a crazy dosage, and I got my, vitamin D levels up to some crazy amount. I was testing it, testing my blood and everything. And Stan's like, all right, back off. Yeah, now you're just kind of like overdoing it. Like you can kind of get some of this stuff overdone. And speaking of blood work, I just got some more blood work done yesterday. So
is the carnivore diet killing you?
Yeah, you know what? That's what they reported back to me. They said, look, man, like you only have 3 days to live, and you could have a little bit longer time to live if you let us check your blood. So they have my blood, they have my urine. And I'm excited to kind of see what it's showing. I wouldn't doubt that something's off. Like every time I get my blood work done, something's always a little bit. I always have like a red check next to something, and I'm like, damn it. It's like it seems like I fix one thing, and then something else gets out of whack. But the thing to know about blood work, so no one gets alarmed when they do get their work done, is just that it's just a snapshot in time of your blood, and it may represent everything very accurately, but there's also a possibility that maybe you're a little bit sick. Maybe you didn't sleep well for a few days. So we know that your resting glucose, your resting insulin levels, they can be highly impacted by just one crappy night of sleep. And so we also know that your creatine levels and things like that, if you're a lifter,
It's going to be high.
kidney function and some of these things they're going to look a little different if you're a lifter. And if you're being aggressive with your CrossFit or your jiu-jitsu or some of that stuff, sometimes some of your markers of health will look kind of off, and you're like, "Ooh, that doesn't look good." But again, it's a snapshot, and that's why I try to get it done fairly often.
I haven't seen, but has Sean Baker, because he's probably, since he's been doing carnivore so long, I'm assuming that he shared some of his blood work, because everybody's probably like, what's your blood look like, right?
Yeah, Sean Baker has. His testosterone levels are like mild to low. His cholesterol looked like it was all good. Even his iron, which that's a huge concern of a lot of people. They'll say, "Hey, man, you got to donate blood, even if you're a natural athlete." So that's pretty common knowledge now, in athletes that use performance enhancing drugs. It's a good idea to donate blood because your blood could get thick.
But you said even if you're a natural athlete,
if you're a natural athlete and you're consuming a lot of meat, there's some people that believe that you should donate blood to help keep the iron levels more modest, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But what Dr. Baker has found, and Paul Saladino and some others, is that it may not matter that much because, again, most of the studies that we have, most of the information that we have is let's see what happens to Nsima's iron levels when he starts to eat a lot more meat. But then you didn't cut anything else out. Like you just all of a sudden ate a lot more meat. And let's just say you had a shit diet. You have a standard American diet, and now we just added meat to it. And you're still eating French fries and all these other offenders. Well, your cholesterol probably will look bad. The plaque in your heart probably won't look good. There'll be a lot of things that will be consistently kind of interrupting the way that your body should be healing itself. And your iron levels would be one of them. But once you kind of take away a lot of those things, once you take away some of the bread and sugars and things like that, it doesn't appear that there's as much concern. But some people actually believe, my friend Carl Lenore is one of them, Superhuman Radio. Shout out to Superhuman Radio. If you've never heard of it before, you should check it out.
Okay.
A lot of great content. My boy Ron Penn is a huge fan of them too. Carl really is a big proponent of getting the iron levels checked. And some people think that is the single difference between men and women's longevity is their, I forget what it was called. It's like your total iron levels or something like that.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember the exact name of it.
I was anemic when I was younger. Like my iron was low when I was a teenager. I had to supplement iron and start eating a lot of green leafy vegetables. I haven't gotten that checked in a long time. I'm assuming it's fine because I haven't fainted in a long time.
Yeah.
But I used to like have fainting spells when I was younger because my iron was super low. My mom had anemia. Like it was something that ran in the family. So
wow.
Haven't fainted in a long time.
I always feel like I'm going to faint when I'm training in the morning. Not always. I just have like a bunch of times. One of those times being yesterday in the morning. Like I would just bend down to get set up for a deadlift and they just start going dark. And I'm like, no, let's kind of go get some salt and just drink some water and then relax. And then I was fine. But like, it was just weird, like I don't know what that was all about.
The worst thing that happened was one day I was trying to, I was getting something from a top bookshelf.
Oh shit!
And I reached for it. I was like, oh no, what's happening? So I grabbed something. I grabbed the side of the bookshelf, and the next thing I know, I opened my eyes and the bookshelf's on top of me and I'm on the ground. So I brought the bookshelf down on me when I fainted, and so that's something that people should probably check their iron levels.
A lot of times the iron levels are high, by the way, from eating meat, not necessarily low.
Well,
and that's one of the differences between male and female. Some people believe, women, they they bleed every month, so that's the way they get rid of their iron. And then also for some reason I'm not really sure why, and maybe I have the incorrect information, maybe because women typically eat less meat, but I think women have a harder time absorbing iron. But again, that could be fake news. I could just be reporting something wrong, but I believe I've heard that before. But it also could, again, just be the fact that maybe they just eat a little bit less meat. I don't know.
Pretty interesting question from Strongest Version of You. He's asking, hey, Mark, would you recommend changing how PEDs are used on Carnivore?
That's an interesting question. I have not really heard of people matching up other than some of the bodybuilding kind of gurus. I haven't really heard a lot of information in terms of how to kind of like customize your nutrition along with your PEDs. I know a lot of bodybuilders have really kind of played with a lot of that, but I think it's like probably highly individual. I haven't heard anything specifically, but that makes a lot of sense. The only thing I do know is that people will take things that are more like androgenic when they are trying to bulk. So when they're eating more foods that are when they're eating more stuff that's going to help them get bigger, like they're eating a lot of carbs and stuff, they might have more powerful steroids in their arsenal, because that's the goal, is to get big and massive, and they might take more stuff as well, and then they might shift over to things that are going to help them lean out better as they get into a different diet. But that's not really my area of expertise. I don't know a ton about that, but that actually makes some sense.
I'm wondering about, because I have no input on that, obviously, but you did mention something about
have to
bulking.
address that you don't have the input on it, though.
Yeah,
I'm curious about this though. As far as, dude, I really don't believe that much in like bulking anymore, or the classical bulking, because as I've been like working with guys that are like in their 40s, right? Like if they're staying at the same weight, but months and months and months later, let's say they're a pound heavier, their body is like totally different. And these are like 40-something-year-old dudes. And most of the time, most people would be like, oh, just eat a bunch of food, gain a bunch of weight really fast. Yeah, you'll get stronger and bigger or whatever. But you put on a lot of body fat. And I'm just like, it's not necessary. Bulking really, I don't think is necessary. At least in the classical sense where you put on a lot of weight really fast. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people do that.
I would agree with that in a lot of ways too. And I think that maybe you get like fluffy, maybe you get a little smoother looking, but you're not gaining like fat. You're not gaining a lot of fat. You might gain some weight. You might, I don't know. Let's say that, when you get on stage, you're a little dehydrated, or when you get pictures taken, you're a little bit sucked in. And so there still might be a pretty good difference in your body weight. But I think I agree with what you're saying here. And I think that, I've noticed by bringing in like milk and by kind of like just eating more, and it's like, I definitely put on weight, but I don't feel fatter. And I feel like that 1 week of just paying attention to exactly what I'm eating, and it would just be wiped out. And I think within 2 weeks I would look dry again, it wouldn't take very long to get to that status. And I think, the further that you get away from the stage, the more work you might have created for yourself.
Yeah, I think most guys too, whenever they start to bulk, or when they get on that journey, it turns into, initially, I want to get bigger and stronger and increase my performance, to I'm getting bigger and stronger and I really like eating. Like, I think it really just turns into an absolute excuse to eat kind of whatever you want, how much you want, and just say, yo, I'm bulking right now. Yeah, so it's all going to my muscles.
For the guys that you're working with though, like, I mean, what's their body type? Because like as the resident hard gainer.
So the one guy that's coming to mind, his name's Tony. He didn't have, like, before we started working together, his body isn't. He's not a mesomorph, as you would say. He would be kind of similar to you, but his body weight for the past, I think it's been almost 18, 19 weeks now, has been around 192. He got as low as 187, 188, but his waist is getting smaller. His arms are getting bigger. He's had to get different pants for his legs because his quads are getting bigger, but his waist is getting smaller. And he's been staying around the same weight and increasing his performance slowly. His food hasn't changed since the start. Right. And this has been something that's just like, it's just it takes a longer amount of time to see it, and you're not seeing the scale go up. So since you're not always seeing the scale go up, I can see why people are like, I need to eat more food so I can grow. But if you're patient with it and just let your body weight chill and you just focus on doing better in the gym, everything else will handle itself. If you focus on slowly getting stronger and improving your performance, your body will change in a positive way.
It really will. And I think that that's huge. I think, for myself, I was just telling Andrew, I'm like, yeah, like veins are coming out of my calves and there's more veins in my legs and stuff. And so it's weird because I have gained some weight, but I also feel like I'm getting leaner simultaneously, which is different. I haven't really experienced that before. And so, and I am in like at this time, I'm eating more like intentionally, and I'm not fasting as often and things like that. But I just kind of look at it like that. I'm just eating more. I took a break from fasting. I think diet breaks are kind of smart, but I would also be careful with your wording of that and what that means to you. Like, is it like you're just doing whatever? Because I don't think you can do whatever you want for like a month. I think you could do whatever you want for maybe a couple days if you're being reasonable about it. But even then, if you're going to do whatever you want, and that means to you that you're going to go to the store and load up on a bunch of crap, that's probably not a great idea either. I'd rather see you sprinkle it over a week and say, hey, taking a diet break, and at the end of each day, I'm just going to enjoy whatever I want at the end of the end of the night. That sounds totally
One
reasonable.
meal.
Yeah, one meal, a candy bar or two, a pint of Ben and Jerry's, like whatever the thing is, just some pizza, but like one, one thing. I'd rather see you do that than to say, you know what, screw it, for a week I'm gonna just kind of do whatever I want. It's like, I don't think that's a great idea, because you're gonna lose your mind.
It's never a good idea.
And how hard is it gonna be to restart?
Even now, like that's, if I ever, I guess, do something like that, it ends up being like one meal, or it'll be like a day at a Korean barbecue or something like that. But it's one meal. It never turns to anything more than that.
We got some travel coming up, and I get asked a lot, like, hey, do you train when you travel? Do you and then what does your diet look like when you travel? And I like to keep those things with me. I like to try to get in some type of exercise. So it might not be training. It might not be like I'm, spending an hour or 2 hours in the gym training maybe the same exact way I would if I was here at Super Training. But the nutrition is pretty much the same. I might actually use fasting more when I travel, just because sometimes it's more convenient. But then also it might come up where there's like delicious food and it's a good option, and I'm like, well, I may as well take advantage of that, because I don't know when the next meal is coming. And then also camaraderie. Like, it's just, we're just going to all eat together. You don't want to be the one weird guy that's not eating anything. And so you have some of that going on. But how about for you guys? What do you guys think? You try to keep your training and nutrition intact when you travel, or do you try to relax a little bit more?
Well, for me personally, like especially when traveling, I try to be more of a stickler on fasting, and I will eat like a very, very big meal at the end of the day. But it's like, since I've fasted for most of the day, that big meal isn't going to be a crazy amount of calories. So let's just say it ends up being 22 or 2,000 to 2,200 calorie meal. For a guy my size, that's still not going to have any damage. And that concept is something that like I try to tell other people to do, guys that are going on vacation, or if you're going to like client of mine just like went on vacation with his wife the past weekend, but he fasted for the beginning part of their day. They enjoyed a few meals in the afternoon and the evening, but came back, didn't gain any weight. As long as you're not eating throughout the whole day and snacking throughout the whole day, which is what most people do on vacation. You always have food on hand. That's where things can get out of hand.
Right.
So even when I like cruises in the past, fasted for most of the day, enjoyed the cruise food, came back.
And also, breakfast. I know each person has their own thing that they enjoy, but breakfast is kind of always the same everywhere. You got eggs, pancakes, French toast, like it's all the same, and if you're going to enjoy yourself, I would imagine that most of your like quote unquote like entertainment and most of it comes later on at night. So you can kind of just think of like, that's what you're saving it up for. And rather than like rolling through like Chipotle, like what are you going to really eat at lunchtime anyway, right? You're probably going to have something that's, again, fairly common. It's not unique to the area. Whereas opposed to at night, you might go to a steakhouse that's unique to the area. You might go to a restaurant that's kind of unique to the area. And then that way you're having like an experience. It's a form of entertainment, and it's your food kind of all kind of rolled into one. That's the way I like to do it myself usually.
Yeah.
I've said this on the podcast before. Like I remember the first Arnold that we went to, or maybe it wasn't even the Arnold. I think it was the LA Fit Expo, and I seen Nsima and Chris Griffin working out. And then eventually, when I went to the Arnold that year, everybody went to go train, and I'm just like, man, what if you guys like get hurt? Like we have a really long day. Like I can't imagine like being so tired the next couple of days because we're gonna be on our feet, just being super paranoid about like everything. Fast forward a couple of years later, and it's like, yeah, dude, I can't wait. Like, we're probably gonna go train at Matt Wenning's gym.
Yeah,
We did that last year. That was so much fun. So I'm not gonna be the person that's gonna wake up before everybody and go hit up the hotel gym. Like Mark. Yeah, exactly. But if there's a group of people saying like, yeah, we're gonna go to Matt Wenning's gym, we're not going to pass that up. Or, whatever the case, Mark texts us, hey, you guys want to go on a walk? Like, yes, that sounds like a lot of fun. Any kind of movement that I can get, because my back's always jacked up, and then travel just adds so much more to that, is going to be good for me. Yeah. And then when it comes to the diet, just sensible. Like, I mean, I've learned enough through this podcast to know, like, I can't, have all carbs for breakfast with 2 eggs. I can't have dessert at every meal, even though, these restaurants that we go to have like world-class meals and stuff. Yeah. But just knowing like that's going to backfire in certain ways. So I'm not even going to, to me, it we're traveling. It's some people will see like as going to the Arnold as like an experience, right? Or it's almost their vacation. For me, we are working, even though I'm having a lot of fun. I'm still treating it like a work, type of trip where like just because I'm away from the gym, away from super training, that doesn't mean that I'm just going to let loose and go completely off of my diet. And now that's kind of how I am everywhere. Yeah. So it's
one thing that I wonder why things aren't enough. Why are things like never enough? Like why is it not enough to go to the movie theater and enjoy the film that you have paid for? Like why do we need more external stuff on top of it? Like why do we need to? There's a Seinfeld episode about him trying to combine a pastrami sandwich with sex. It's like he's trying to provide, combine food and sex together at the same time. But like that sounds absolutely ridiculous, right? When you think about it that way. But that is kind of what we're doing. We're combining these things together, and it's not enough to go to the Arnold. It's not enough to go see C.T. Fletcher. It's not enough to do some of this stuff.
I guarantee that there is a meathead that has intra-sex carbs. Oh, yeah. Like they're going at it, and they probably have their shaker bottle there. And they're going at it. I swear, there's a meathead doing that.
I'm anabolic right now. I can't pass this up.
Getting the protein shake in there. Times 2.
That's definitely a thing.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, really, why does it have to be
just the abundance?
Even like, where I was in Cabo, like, why isn't it enough? Like, we're all together, we all agreed to like come to this place. And then why does the eating have to be so damaging, or the drinking? Like, hey, let's enjoy some drinks. Like, okay, that sounds fair enough. But also like, let's not go fucking crazy to where we like black out, or like, get hurt or do something wild or not be able to function for the next 3 days or something like that. Like that just doesn't feel good or sound. That doesn't even sound like a good time.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I think we all have fallen into that trap. We think, oh, we're going to do this and I'm not going to give a shit, man. I'm just going to eat and do whatever I want. And it really doesn't make that much sense. Is it going to, I guess the question is, that you should ask yourself is it really going to enhance, if you really think that it's going to enhance your experience, then maybe you should go for it. Like, if it's popcorn at the movie theater, if you really truly feel and believe that that's going to enhance your viewing of the movie, then maybe you should do that. And maybe if you only go to the movie theater once a month, maybe that's not a big deal. Maybe that's not that big of a problem. That's your one thing that you like to do here and there. I'd say that sounds cool. You think that increases your quality of life and you're more entertained and you have more fun being that way, then I would say that you'll probably live longer than most people because you have the ability to fucking relax and enjoy yourself. But at the same time, like how much of that how much of that do we need? We're at a resort where the food was unlimited. The food was unlimited and included, and so were the drinks.
Mm-hmm.
So I just saw people, constantly, ordering alcohol and then constantly ordering like sodas and stuff. And I'm like, man, like I know that these people, they're not like accounting for any of it. They're not paying attention. They're not saying, they're not being, maybe fitness people are a little crazy about it, but they're not thinking about it in terms of like, okay, I just ordered 30 grams of sugar. Like they're not, they're not computing it, and they're not saying, okay, well, when I have dinner tonight, I'm not going to have the dessert because I had the sugar here.
Mm-hmm.
They're not thinking like, all right, well, I had a full day of drinking. I ate like a pig. I let loose. That was fun. Tomorrow, I'm going to get up. I'm going to run on the beach. They're not really thinking about it in terms of having any trade-off. It's just accumulative, and it's just going to continue to show up around your waist more so and more so day in and day out. And I don't understand why there wouldn't be any just a little thought to it. I think would help.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on like why is it never enough. I feel like I think you have this kind of personality, kind of in a sense. Well, yeah, because when it comes to working and training, even now to a lesser extent, like when you were focusing on as an athlete, you were training an immense amount. People would call you obsessed and excessive with your training to get the numbers that you tried to get. People would call the excessiveness in my training when it comes to jiu-jitsu in the gym, people would think that's excessive and whatever. But, I have that with this, but I don't have that when it comes to other things like drinking and all of that. And it primarily comes back to, well, is my excessive jiu-jitsu training enhancing my experience? Most definitely, it's helping and enhancing my experience of that sport. But I think it's just like it has to be kind of looked through that lens.
Yeah, it's your excess, and I got a different excess, right?
Yeah, but it has to be looked through the lens of, is it actually enhancing your life? Getting shit faced multiple nights a week for an individual, they could be like, yeah, it's letting me have more fun and whatever, but there's that type of enhancement isn't going to lead to a positive outcome down the line.
And that seems to be like a really fine line too, especially when it comes to like psychedelics. Like they're so popular nowadays, and it seems like some of these people that are into like mushrooms are into them like excessively, right? So it's kind of a like judgment call, and we shouldn't be like overly judging each other, but at the same time, it's easy to fall into these things because they're addictive, whether it be working out or whether it be the alcohol or whether it be something like mushrooms. Yeah, I'm sure you feel freaking great, doing that. But then, yeah, what's kind of the cutoff point? I like, some of the idea of trying to cut back on stuff, trying to cut stuff out. I've never tried to practice like cutting out lifting. I don't think I have thought about that before, but it's something I'm not like ready to do. I've thought about that before, but I'm like, maybe I would try to chop it out for a month or two when I'm a little older, but
a month or two?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah, that would be too long, right? It'd be brutal.
Yeah,
it'd be brutal. But like in place of something else, you would do something different, some other activity. But yeah, man, but like, I don't know, like maybe that would be a good idea. Just to see what it's like, just to chop it out.
What would be that replacement activity though? Because I think that's that.
Yeah.
Like, what's that replacement activity? Because there would never be a point in the past that I would think I could lift 3 days a week.
Right.
But I replaced a lot of that lifting with martial arts.
Right.
So I'm still doing that all the time, but I still get my lifting in 3 days a week, which I would in the past I'm like, who the fuck lifts 3 days a week, right? So you got
to distract yourself with something.
Got to do something else, you know.
I agree, and I think that's where anxiety and depression, a lot of those things have an opportunity to sneak in is when you're not occupied. You're not doing stuff. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what other people are trying to avoid, even with the food. Maybe they're thinking, hey, this is going to be quick, this is going to be easy, it's going to make me feel good. I'm going to have the pizza. It's going to be quick, it's going to be easy, I'm going to get drunk, and I'm going to have a good time. And you know what I think too? I think with alcohol, my wife and I had a really cool conversation about alcohol one night, and I believe that everyone drinks because they just have social anxiety. They want to be able to talk, they want to be able to have fun, and they don't think they can do it without it. And she was like, I don't really know. She's like, I don't think so. But I saw her point, she saw my point, but basically, I still am a believer that that's true. I'm a believer that they're trying to have a good time. The alcohol lowers your inhibition. And like, if you and I didn't know each other, I might not talk to you if I saw you at a bar, but if I had a drink or two and you had a drink or two, we might start chatting. Hey man, where do you train at? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I do jujitsu. Oh, I'm a powerlifter. And we're best friends all of a sudden. Right. And it's a lot easier to get in conversation that way. I'm trying, as I get older to like, just do that more often. Just when I feel like saying, you ever have that moment hit you where you're like, I just feel like fucking talking to that person, and you don't, because you're like, I shouldn't.
Thinking
be like,
too much.
Yeah, like, that would be dumb. They're gonna think I'm stupid or whatever. They're gonna think like, what is this guy doing? Saying something to me, or even just complimenting some people.
Yeah.
I've gotten better with that. I'll just say, hey man, like, dig your shirt or whatever. I saw a woman at Phil's like a few weeks ago. She just had these great shoulders. She looked jacked. And I said, hey, I was like, have you ever messed around with bodybuilding or something? You lift weights? She's like, I've been lifting weights since I was like 10 years old. She's like 50 something years old,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. Just little things like that I would have never done a few years ago, but I don't feel I need alcohol to do it,
No, I totally agree with you. I don't know the extent of the discussion you guys were having, but I know so many people who cannot go into social situations without having like a shot or getting a little bit drunk beforehand so they can feel a little bit loose to do that. Like that's true for some, like for a lot of people that drink excessively. That's super true.
It might just be something to be aware of. I'm not saying like don't do it. I'm just saying like just be conscious of it. Could you have a little less too and end up with the same result? Could you have, half a glass of wine, or could you have a shot rather than having 3? Like just maybe that'll,
Yeah, I remember having this conversation with my cousin. Early 20s, right? And he's a little bit older. And I remember him saying like, yeah, man, like I'm probably going to like stop drinking because like my son came up to me and he was like, oh, are you the good dad or the bad dad right now? Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
And so he's like, so I'm going to cut it out. I'm like, man, but like, how are you going to have fun now? And I still think back about that. And I'm just like, dude,
Wait, you said that?
I said that. Yeah.
Oh,
I used to think that the only way I could have fun is if I drank a lot. And then now it's like, yeah, I don't drink at all anymore. But I had that mindset or that thought of like, well, shit, if I'm going to, I work all week. So come Friday night, like, yeah, I want to, drink and I want to have fun. How am I not going to have fun? Like, how am I going to have fun if I'm not drinking anymore? Like, those two don't go, like, it doesn't go hand in hand.
And what a great thing for someone to say to themselves, but you need the follow-up questions after that, right? Like that's a good realization. Shit, man, you're taking my alcohol away. How do I have fun without it? And then you need to probably ask yourself, why do I think that I only would have fun with alcohol? Like, what's the missing link? The Stoics, they used to talk about, like Marcus Aurelius, he would talk about, like, he thinks traveling is kind of dumb. Like, I don't know if you guys heard some of this, but like, he just thought like you can travel anywhere you want in your mind, and even when you do travel somewhere, you're still left with yourself at the end of the day. Was right. And if you think about it, when you travel somewhere, you ever say to yourself like, I was there for like 1 too many days, right? That's what that means. That's that feeling of like, yeah, I'm still with my fucking self. After 3 or 4 days, you realize that's all you got.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you travel to. You can go wherever you want. You're not going to be able to get away from, yourself, your own thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people are trying to do. They're trying to escape. They're trying to escape their own thoughts. It's nice to get away. It's like, well, what did you get away from? Because if you traveled, especially if you did it without drugs of any kind, even like kratom or throw in anything you want, what did you really get away from? All you did is like move locations. You still have to deal with yourself. It's pretty crazy when you think about it in those terms.
It's like whenever there's a few people I know who are like they're always like, I'm bored. And I'm just like, why are you so like, figure out something
I love that.
to do. Like, there's a lot of things you could do.
Who's bored? Who's bored? You guys know who's bored?
No,
what do you mean?
I don't know who.
Boring people. People that can't be creative to think of something fun to do.
Yeah.
That's who's bored. Oh man, this is so boring. Like, so your kids at like 5, they would never really say I'm bored unless they were forced to do something where they just couldn't move or do anything. Like if they couldn't do anything at all, they might say that they're bored. between like 5 and 7. But once your kid's like 15 or once your kid's 12, they'll say they're bored all the time. But because at that age, they can't think of a replacement for like their phone, or they can't think of a replacement for their iPad or something. They're so used to like a couple things that they're used to. And the second that that's not available, they're bored.
Yeah.
But a little kid, you know, a 4 or 5-year-old kid can have a ton of fun in church as long as he can, without making noise, as long as he can kick his little feet back and forth or play with something, you know, turn around and like adjust a little seat or whatever, or mess around with the Bible or whatever he's doing. Well, he's not bugging everybody else, and he's not bored, right?
If you're like looking at to learn different things or do different things, you should never really be bored, because there's a bunch of stuff to figure out. There's always something you got to do, unless you're running away from the things that you know you should be doing. So you end up being bored because you don't want to do those things. It's just coming from personal experience. So yeah, like real talk, there really should be no reason that you're bored.
Yeah, right.
But I know people that say that shit so much. I'm just like, okay, you're bored. That's okay.
Yeah, or like I can't remember the meme exactly, but it was like somebody like sigh, like, so what should we do today? Said no parent ever. And I was just like, when I read it, I was just like, oh yeah, probably being a parent's like busy. And then now it's like, shit, like we literally don't have, like, it's a sprint to get to bed on time. It's like there's always something happening on the weekends. Like, yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, if somebody's bored, it's like, you're bored in this day and age, man. Like, you're trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, man, throw on a Joe Rogan podcast or throw on the Power Project,
There
man.
you go.
Seriously, that'll open up a lot of stuff to do.
I don't know if you guys saw my post about my wifey, where just a picture of us on the beach, and I just talked about, you know, how we have so much fun together, and it's kind of an example of that, where, you know, we had fun in Mexico, you know, and we'll be traveling to a bunch of different places, and all that stuff's going to be a lot of fun. But I also wanted to make the point that we have fun hanging out in our own living room. We have fun cooking dinner together. We have fun, you know, doing stuff with the kids. You know, I look forward to each day. I try to even like plan, you know, when I'm going to like cook my meal, because I usually eat something slightly different than the rest of the family, so that it matches up with like, hey, I can sit down and actually like eat with everybody and be like a normal dad for a few minutes. But yeah, we have fun doing all kinds of stuff. And I wanted to just kind of paint the picture for people, like, yes, I get the opportunity to travel to a lot of great places, but it hasn't always been that way. It hasn't been that way since the beginning. When we first met, we were in an apartment that was the size of this room that we're in right now in Los Angeles. So, I mean, we had fun in that apartment. We had fun everywhere else in between that we've been. So it's not necessarily about the different locations, although those are fun. It's fun to experience these things. The most fun part of all of it really is to experience this stuff with family. That's the most fun that I have is, you know, her and I getting an opportunity to see some different things is great. But anytime we have a chance to bring our kids with us, or in this situation, you know, we were going to a friend's wedding, so we were around a lot of friends, and for everyone to kind of experience all this together, that was really cool. And, you know, this is kind of the point is like, man, we could just be like rummaging through our own fridge to figure out what to cook for dinner and have fun, or we could be, you know, on a plane, you know, going to Iceland or wherever we're going to be going to next.
Yeah. Jeez. So did that come naturally for you guys? Because a lot of people think that that's something that just comes natural when people are supposed to be together. Some people think that you can work and achieve that. What do you think about that? Do you think it goes either way, or it should be something that just kind of comes to people that should be together?
Yeah. You know, I'm kind of screwed because I have like, I have different perception of hard work nowadays. Like, I don't think that anything's really that hard. I think it's just an accumulation, you know? So some people might say marriage is really hard. Well, I mean, I don't know how hard it should be. Because it should be your own free will that you're married, and that you're not married just because of society, right? Or because of our culture, which could be the case for a lot of, you know, you could just end up, I don't know if our culture didn't like have it. I don't know if I would be like, I don't know if I would go out of my way to do it. I'm not sure. I don't even, you know, I got married at a very young age, but, yeah, I don't view a lot of it as being like difficult. I think almost everything was fairly natural. I think the real game changer is when you have children, because there's no possible way to know or understand any of that until you have kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's smart. A lot of people are like, I don't have kids, but I think that's actually a smart line, because it's like, yeah, like you're not on that other side yet. You don't understand that side yet. It's not like it's necessarily any. It's all difficult. It's difficult to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to be single. It's difficult to be with somebody. Like, it's all difficult. Moving in together is kind of difficult. Like, there's some difficulty to all of it. But I think that if something gets to be too hard, then that's when you have to kind of question. You have to say to yourself maybe something along the lines of like, do I feel this is worth it for both of us to continue to move forward? And if I do, if that's the answer, then I'm going to continue to fight for it. And I'm going to continue to make it work, because this is in both of our best interests. We should figure out a way to make this work so that we can have a great life together. And that might take, that could just be, but usually you just dig yourself in your own hole, because you're not communicating, you're not talking enough. You're not, you'll hear people say, oh, it's all about communication.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, even that has to be like laid out. You gotta kind of unfortunately go over everything if you want to be able to move forward. And I think, this goes back to the podcast that we did the other day. Critical thinking and pointing out errors and being able to bring stuff up. But it's hard to say, hey, I don't want you to get emotional about this, but I really am annoyed when you do. And it's like, oh, like it's just stab you in the heart, right? And so that never gets brought up. But how cool would it be if you could figure out a way how to say that? Like, I love being with you. It's amazing that we've been together for 5 years. I want to keep that. But I got to tell you, the other day when this happened, it really made me mad, and I couldn't figure out why it made me mad, and I wanted to talk about it. And it's like, well, that's going to hurt everybody. That's going to suck. Maybe you'll both cry. Maybe you'll both be pissed at each other for a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, maybe it ends up being a better result, because maybe you'll figure out what works best for you guys. So I think, difficult conversations are unavoidable in life. And I think they're difficult because of how we interpret them. And it makes it hard, because I'm like, man, I don't want to have to tell Nsima he stinks again from jiu-jitsu practice. Man, he's going to be hurt. See what happened? Now you're thinking, and he just thought of like 5 moves to tap me out in 4 seconds.
By the way, guys,
that was unnecessary.
Yeah, I came here straight after class, and I wasn't able to shower. So I do smell like dog piss and other people's sweat. It's just the truth. I apologize.
You have a lot of built up bacteria on you. It's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, no, this is disgusting. Yeah,
Matt herpes.
Yeah. Ooh, Matt herpes is. Oh, anybody, if you're interested,
don't Google that.
Yeah. Matt herpes is real, and it's not even normal herpes. It happens with grapplers.
Anyway, when I met my wife, there was nothing really to work on. When we moved in together, it wasn't really much to work on. But once we had kids, that kind of changed things, because it changes. There's extra people now involved. You know?
Yeah.
So it just added people to the relationship. You had a relationship this way, and then you got extra people in there. So that definitely raised the difficulty level of it.
Extra people that need extra attention.
A lot of attention.
A lot of attention.
Yeah. How did you guys manage your time and stuff? I'm just curious. I mean, you hear different things from different people, but you guys seem to be doing pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, how we used to manage our time, it wasn't really any sort of special management. It was just Andy just getting absolutely crushed, and I actually think that that's just true when it comes to a mother that is willing to breastfeed. Like, they're just going to get annihilated, and they're going to have to make that commitment. And, Andy was a proponent of doing it for a certain amount of time. I forget how long she did it for. 5 years, 10 years now.
Y'all still got it in the fridge?
Yeah. I think she did it for like a year or something like that. Yeah. Whatever that amount of time was. But I mean, man, that's a lot, right? And it's there's not much I can do in those situations. So whenever Jake would cry or Quinn would cry, I'd just wake up and like change them, you know, try to rock them. Their diaper would be dry a lot of times, but I'm like, I don't know, you know, what else to do. And then it would turn out that they're just hungry and hand them over to mom, you know, and she just, that part was really difficult because it was hard for her to have any time to herself. Even something like her just wanting to take a shower or be by herself for a few minutes, like all that stuff is like difficult. And so I think as a guy, you got to recognize that and say, hey, you know, you should go hang out with your sister, or like you should go hang out with your friends, which is insane, you know, to be home with a baby that's like, it's like a little bomb, you know, and you don't know when it's going to go off and you don't know what to do with it. You're like, shit, man, what am I going to do with this thing? But my defense against that was just to drive my kids around a lot or to walk them, you know, everywhere and stuff like that. So that kind of stuff helped a lot. But in terms of like managing time, I guess you just sort of figure it out and you try. From a guy's perspective, I was just always trying to figure out how can I give her some freedom so that she can like think better and operate better. Because if she's operating better, the kid will be operating, like everything will be better if she's doing okay. The kid will be on more of a feeding schedule. The kid might have a decent sleep schedule, but I got to make sure that she doesn't fall apart, you know. And Andy's strong, so she didn't really need a lot of that, but just kind of being there as much as possible. And then nowadays, you know, the kids are off doing their own stuff, and we don't have to really worry about it much, but we might say, hey, like, why don't you spend time with Jake, or why don't you spend time with, we try to have, this is what's really hard, is trying to have time for each other and then trying to make time for the kids individually and then trying to make time as a family, because it's all important. You know, it's important for you to hang out with Jasmine by yourself, you know, just as it's important for her to hang out with her mom, and all the different combinations of things that you can figure out. They're all really, really important, because the kid's going to act differently when the kid's by themselves. And I, you know, can't imagine having 3 or 4 kids, because to try to figure that out start to get really complicated.
And I know you've mentioned it on the podcast before. Like you're a big fan of babies. You love them.
There's a Netflix show called Babies, by the way.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
Man,
it's cute.
there's also a show called Love Is Blind.
Love is blind.
Let's not talk about that.
Have you watched the whole season? Because we have.
I don't want to admit this. Yeah, don't, hold on to what you're about
Cam
to ask.
Haines
Mark,
has been
by the
watching
way.
a lot
I
of
know
this
we're
stuff.
gonna get back to the whole baby thing, but dude, Love Is Blind is
Love
my
is
shit.
Blind. Oh my, Mark, you know what Love is Blind is?
It's been on in my house. But I have not.
You too. Oh, like, dude.
Jessica's a messica.
Jessica is horrible, by the way. Okay, I totally think that what she did to Mark was just so bad. But
Shout out to Mark too.
Let's not spoil it for people.
But I'm gonna try to reach out to him and get him on the damn podcast, because he's into fitness, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
He actually looks like what's that, Matt Davella?
Oh, yeah.
They look like each other. By the way, guys, Love is Blind is a reality TV show on Netflix. I used to think reality TV is trash, and I still think it is. And I feel so like such the biggest
I haven't had an
hypocrite.
opportunity to watch it really. It's been on in my house, but I haven't seen it much. But I have watched The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. Like, I watch all that crap. I love watching that shit. Real Housewives of Orange County and Atlanta and all that shit. I watch all that stuff.
Dude, it's done so good. It's dude, hooked.
Love is Blind.
Love is
bro.
Blind is so good.
If you guys want to watch something with your significant other and
It's
maybe get a few laughs,
It certainly is like football though for women, because they yell at the screen.
it is.
So my wife is yelling at the screen all the time. You know, when a guy's watching like basketball or football or baseball, like, I can't believe he did that. Oh my God, he dropped a pass. He was wide open. Or why'd he throw it right to the defense?
Oh, man.
The women are like, I can't believe she said that. She's such a bitch.
Dude.
You know,
And the girls, like, there's a lot of, like, on a lot of these reality shows, these women are absolutely beautiful, but your girl is going to be like, oh my God, she's such a bitch. Like, they can't find anything else to say.
Yeah.
The girl looks perfect. Her boobs are out. She looks gorgeous. And you're just thinking, holy shit, wow, she looks really good. Your wife is thinking the exact opposite of your girlfriend's thinking.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what a bitch. What an evil bitch.
Yep.
I was so deep into it that so we finished it last night.
Uh-huh.
Instantly go to Google, like, where are they
Look
now?
up everybody on IG and
Dude,
stuff.
so
Don't spoil anything
I'm not
because Mark's
spoiling
gonna end up
anything.
watching it.
That's why everybody is on those shows in the first place to get the IG cranking, right?
Yeah. But you know the premise of Love is Blind, right?
I don't know much about it now.
So you want to explain it?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so Love is Blind, pretty much it starts like this. They get all these people, and the whole thing is like, can you fall in love with someone without seeing them, right? So they put these people in like a room, right? And there's
I'm liking it.
Yeah.
there's a screen between the two people, and they're supposed to talk and get to know each other,
So they
right?
used to do this with a dating game, right? And then you would come around the other
Yes.
side, and you would that's
Yeah,
like an old
like
show.
number 3, blah
but
blah
this
blah.
is but this is like what, marriage?
Yeah, you have to propose to this person, and then you get to see what they look like. And then after that, you then go to the physical side of things. Okay, you guys are now married and you've seen each other. Now we're gonna put you in a place and let you
It's like
you
a
know,
pre-honeymoon.
do your yeah.
They have like 30 days before the wedding.
Before the wedding.
So they have to fast forward their relationship to figure out like, hey, is this the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with?
And then
Or never see them
other
again.
girls still available too, or how does that work?
Oh, there's drama.
Oh yeah, no,
He
because
hasn't
like
seen it
but
yet,
once you
dude.
pick somebody, you get
No,
to go
that's
back.
it. No, that's it. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
But the crazy thing is that after you've picked them and everyone that's together, now they go to that beach or whatever, now everyone still gets to see each other. So you get to see the person that you were talking to, like Jessica talks to some other guy who like
And she's-
didn't propose to her, but she still likes him, but she's
All
married to
over
this
his
guy.
nuts.
See? Wild.
Dude, reunion show
All the-
tomorrow.
All the hardcore powerlifters listening to this are like, what
Okay.
the fuck are they doing?
Well, they're going to say that, but if they
Once
watch
they
it,
watch it.
they'll understand. Or they're secretly watching it and being like, this is stupid. Let's get back to sweaty dudes lifting. Dude, Love is Blind reunion show drops tomorrow.
Okay, I'm not even gonna I can't do
I'm
this.
going to download it and watch it on the plane.
Those reunion shows are the best. Everyone gets really worked up on those.
Dude,
shows.
what's her name? I think it's Amber. She goes,
Oh, the fitness girl.
I don't know. Shit. Barnett's.
Oh yeah,
wife.
Barnett. Okay, Amber, wild girl.
She goes hard on Jessica. She calls her out.
Yeah, Amber's a fighter.
Damn.
Ex-tanker or something like that.
So
Yeah.
Andy's watching this right now?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
she's way into it. She knows everything about
Yeah.
it. She's like reads up on like what's going to happen in future episodes, and like she knows. She's telling me tons of stuff too, and I don't know what she's talking about. And I don't listen to her.
It's so good. Anywho, so back to what I was gonna get at. It's such a good show. Anyways, were you like, what was your feeling when like Jake was on the way? Like you seen the Andy's belly getting bigger,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like it's.
Yeah, I was
what's that, dude? Like,
Yeah, I was excited. I was super pumped. We have a big family, so I got 9 uncles and aunts on one side and 9 on the other. So there's a lot of kids. A lot of kids running around. I always liked children. There's a lot of like just freaking babies everywhere when I was growing up, and I ended up like looking after my cousins and stuff like that. It was always a lot of fun. And when I heard that I was having a kid of my own, I was very very excited. And when you have a baby and you're like holding your own baby and stuff, it's a crazy experience. And it people are always like, oh, time flies, it goes by super quick. But when you're in it, it takes years. You're like, this takes years for this person to be able to have like a personality and for them to move around. Like they can't really do anything in the beginning, but you don't get to really hold them that long. Like they start squirming away when they're like 3 or 4 and they want to walk and do their own stuff their own way.
Yeah.
And it sucks to like look at my daughter now. She's 12. I can't really just go up and like get a kiss. I got to steal one here and there, And my son, like, he's way over that stuff too. So it's like I gotta like try to just steal a hug whenever I can or whatever. But they're still your babies in some way. You still want. I'm sure your mom still grabs you and kisses you and stuff, right? She still wants to, right?
Yep.
Just let her do it.
Yeah, man. Oh God. Yeah, I can't imagine that still. I'm far away from it right now. I know I'm not gonna. Yeah.
yeah.
I do want 2 kids, but it's gonna be a while before that happens.
2 specifically?
2 specifically, because in the past I would have told myself that I wanted more, but when I've thought about that attention thing,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. it's a
having
lot.
to give attention to so many children is,
Mhm.
and I've seen like kids that had multiple siblings. I know I have friends that were like, yeah, I mean, I had 5 other siblings. They can't spread themselves that thin, right? So, that's tough.
Yeah, we've been talking about it. You know, we finally we have our wedding date, so it's like, okay, yeah, I know we're excited, but the discussion about having kids and stuff, and it's like having kid or kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if we have a boy first, is it one and done? If we have a girl, we can try for a boy. Like, I don't know, but the whole thought of like watching her belly start to get a little bit bigger freaks me out, especially the coronavirus and everything going on. I'm just like, then I start thinking about like outside things happening, like that I have no control over. I'm just like, oh fuck, like, oh boy.
You have something to say on that? I know your mind just went to
It's just like, oh man. So yeah, I mean, I'm paranoid enough as it is, and I can't imagine what it's gonna be like, having a human come along that actually has no defense. Like, oh fuck, like that scares the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you got with your now wifey? Or how old was Jasmine?
So she was 4. Yeah, she was 4.
4.
So she was already like fun to hang out with. That sounds like a mean thing to say, but like babies still scare me. Like I don't like family. They babies are popping out left and right. There's like, oh, here. I'm like, nope.
Even when
I don't
my kids
touch that kid.
Even when my kids were like 2 or 3, and I saw like an infant, and someone would like want to hand them to me because they're like, oh, I know you love babies. I'm like,
Okay.
Like an infant, like, yeah, that's some scary shit. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, they can't hold their own head. What am I supposed to? They don't have a handle.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You're like,
And they're not like,
you're like, I'm totally gonna mess this up.
like if you're holding like a plate, or a serving dish, you can balance it, right? Like
Very solid, yeah.
Yeah, there's a base.
Mm-hmm.
A kid doesn't have that. Like,
Their head's just going all over the place.
Yeah, it's just like a giant sack of like water or something. You know? You're,
Yeah.
like, trying to.
It's a skin sack.
Yeah.
It is. Quite literally.
Chubby little thing.
Yeah.
yeah, it moves. It has sporadic, just jolts of energy. All of a sudden, it's just, no, man. I don't want to be the guy that's like, hey, yeah, you remember so and so dropped, and or Andrew dropped so and so. Like, you're not gonna ever be able to outlive that one.
Yep.
We got some amazing guests at the Arnold. That's going to be really cool. We have just booked Eddie Hall, so that'll be really cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
that'll be amazing. I think it's a good opportunity maybe to end up interviewing some people that we otherwise wouldn't have had an opportunity to talk to because they would have been maybe too busy. But now they ain't got shit to do, so they can come talk to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a good loaded up cast, and then I also have it set for us to go into Rogue Fitness and lift if we want to lift.
Yes.
Which would be really cool. Last year I walked into that like haven of CrossFit champions, and that was just like weird. I was like, where am I? This is super cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing those pictures being like, I mean, every time like something cool happens to any of us, like I get so pumped up. When that happened, I was just like, fuck, he didn't call me. I was legit jealous that I didn't go hang out with him.
Yeah, that was really really crazy to have that many CrossFit champions kind of like in one room. And I have friends that are huge CrossFit fans. They're like, you don't even care about CrossFit. Like, you got to hang out with all those. I was like, I care about it enough. I was pumped to meet all those people.
You understand.
And then another good announcement is not when we're at the Arnold, but I got Greg Glassman to agree to be on the podcast, and he's been saying a lot of really interesting stuff.
Awesome.
I'll let him speak for himself. I won't share too much, but basically, he's been a low carb proponent for a long time, and so it'd be interesting to ask him of some of the divide between CrossFit HQ's message, his message of low sugar, low carb, and what some of the athletes are doing, because it's different, than what some of the athletes are doing. So it'd be interesting to kind of get his take. Like, hey, do you think the athletes are doing what's in their best interest, or are they just trying to do what they think is best? Because if you think about CrossFit and you think about over the years, it seemed like they thought they needed compression clothes, and then it seemed like they thought they needed these compression boots. And then it seemed like they thought they needed these like Mark Pro and these different things. And maybe they're just trying to figure out a way to get an edge, whatever way they can, because CrossFit's so difficult. But just because they're trying any and everything doesn't mean it's the right way. Maybe a lower carb approach would work well for a lot of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting in getting some of his thoughts on it. But I'm excited for that too.
I think it'll open up a lot of the questions that we weren't able to get out of Dave Castro.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Dave didn't want to speak on his behalf and
Exactly.
stuff like that. And the coolest thing for us, I think, is that Greg Glassman, although he revolutionized fitness with what he did, he is still at the root of it. He's a trainer. Yeah. He's a trainer and a coach. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I actually mean that in more of a positive way. He's a trainer, he's a coach, and when we talk to him, he's going to still have that mindset of a coach, of somebody that is assisting, somebody that's helping, somebody that is mentoring, somebody that's inspiring. So I'm really, really excited, and I don't know, like, if it would be best to have him come here or us go to him. Like, it's pretty cool to get an opportunity to go to his house. It was pretty sick, but I also think it would be nice for him to kind of see this, and I can let him know the same thing I told Dave Castro. As I said, thank you, really just thank you guys. He was impressed with what we have here, but I was like, hey, a lot of it's because of you guys. A lot of it's because of what CrossFit. It's not all because of what CrossFit did, but CrossFit is huge. Without CrossFit, we don't have Rogue Fitness. Rogue Fitness sells a ton of hip circles. Rogue Fitness sells a ton of slingshots. They sell a lot of our products, and so it has raised all ships. Is the way I like to look at it. Getting an opportunity to go to the Arnold, even though a lot of the events have been canceled, it's going to be amazing. I still think we have an opportunity to talk to Julius Maddox, who recently benched, I think, 765, like an unofficial all-time world record.
Jesus Christ.
Beating his own record by 30 pounds or something. I mean, some of these things that are happening nowadays, I wish somebody would do like correlations so that you could see, what's, like they did this years ago with Wayne Gretzky, and I haven't really heard it done more recently. And I don't even know shit about hockey, so I don't even know if Wayne Gretzky still has a lot of the records, but
he does.
They took Wayne Gretzky and they took like Jordan, and they showed you exponentially how much further ahead like Wayne Gretzky was than where Jordan was at versus where Walter Payton was in their careers. And it was like Jordan would have to be like 28% better. Walter Payton would have to, have ran for an extra 5 miles in his career or whatever. It wasn't really saying that he was better, but they were just saying on scale, in accordance to the sport that he's in accordance to how he broke the records and how much further he went past those records.
Yeah.
That's what they were comparing. And that would be really cool if somebody started doing that with like a Julius Maddox and some of these other athletes, some of these women that are hitting these huge, they're breaking their own records by hundreds of pounds, and it would be great to kind of, how does Steffi Cohen compare to how Jordan broke certain records in his? I realize, you can't compare it because it's not the same, but it's still kind of a neat thing to just explore and look at.
Just like Wayne's scoring records have not been broken yet. I was listening to a podcast with one of his teammates that was also like one of the top 10 hockey greats. And after I looked up a lot of Wayne's records, like no one is close, not even in the same universe in terms of like the scoring records that Wayne has. It's unreal. Like it really is. And I never realized the type of caliber athlete he was until like a few months ago. But I was just like, Jesus Christ. I see why he's called what? The Great One?
Yeah, the Great One.
Like he literally is the Great One. It's scary. Just go Wikipedia his shit. You guys will see what I mean. It's absolutely.
I think he won like 11 Stanley Cups or something too. Like that's the championship. He won like 11 championships or something.
But his like season scoring is like prolific. I think like in terms of total goals scored, it's something crazy like, I don't know, 80 more. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't want to mess up the numbers, but it really is when you look at it, it's ridiculous versus the next closest person to him in hockey.
There's a documentary that's that I saw that's called like The Greatest, and it's like people like him, and there's a few other people. And in this documentary, they talk to him about, what would he say to like a 13-year-old kid or something that's trying to be the great one, And he said, well, people ask me this all the time. And he's like, I would say nothing to him because there's nothing that can make you as addicted to it as I was. He was like, I don't know why, but he's like, I would watch videotape. I'd watch tape after tape after tape of these games. And he was like, I would fantasize about being this certain person on the ice, and I would trace it on a piece of paper. And he's like, I would just keep tracing it over and over again. So I learned the patterns of where the guy goes on the defense and where he goes on the offense and when he gets the puck. And he's like, and I would trace through it with my own skating. And then so he's like, I'd write it down on paper. He's like, at 8 years old, I'd write it down on paper. And he's like, it would just look like crazy lines. But he's like, I knew what each line was, and I knew what each line meant for each person on the ice. He's like, then I would go and act it out. And we had ice in the back, yard or whatever, because his dad was like a coach or something like that. And I was just like, oh, holy shit. Like, that is, wow. Like, that was, and he's like, I can't make anybody that interested to want to do that, I don't think.
But you see, the great thing that I see in all of that and what he said was, it wasn't just that he was some talented dude. You know what I mean? Like,
he just was so obsessed and loved it.
He was obsessed and he loved it. And like there may have been some semblance of talent, athletic skill in there,
Sure.
but at the end of the day, he put in way more work than anyone else with him. So
Right.
it just goes to show, like, okay, you may not be a Wayne Gretzky, but if you work fucking hard, you can do some great things.
Yeah, and a lot of guys in hockey, people don't even know this, but a lot of guys are huge.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the athletes are really big, and Wayne Gretzky wasn't very big.
He wasn't.
I don't think he was small, but he wasn't like 6'5" or anything like that.
Oh, he was like 5'11" or something, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he was pretty 5'11", 200 pounds probably. I mean, some of these guys are like 6'5", 240. Some of these guys are, man, some people that are hockey fans are probably listening going, hey, what about someone? They're probably mentioning a bunch
They're
of
all like,
them.
you guys are butchering hockey, but
I
still.
know.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, peeps, I saw that Eddie Hall video last week, the 1100 one.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, you guys need to
That's
go to
intense.
Eddie Hall. It is.
That's really intense.
It really is. You
Which
guys need to go
video?
to his channel. The Eddie Hall video on what he had to do to lift 1,100 pounds on his YouTube channel.
Talks about like going blind and going deaf and like crazy shit. Like you're like, what?
After it, like he fainted afterwards. It was insane. And then when you look at his eyes when he's doing the pool, it's almost haunting. Like it legitimately is scary.
It's really cool because he's super descriptive. He explains everything, but he leaves out a part of it. You guys, when you see the video, you'll see it. He leaves a part out because he's like, this is too much. I can't say it. He's like, I'm not even going to tell you what this is. But he basically he actually went to a coach, which is great too. Because here's like one of the greatest strongmen of all time, one of the strongest people that ever walked the face of the earth. And he realized he needed to go to a coach. But some of this was explained to him as, even the best athletes only use like 40% of their capacity. Not because of lack of effort, but just because the conscious mind will only allow you to go so far. And if you can tap into subconscious mind and get both things working together, then you can get an additional maybe 40%. It's hard to get 100% of anything, but anyway, that's what he was trying to tap into, and what he had to do for that. He kind of left a little bit of a mystery in there because he just said, hey, it's a little too much for me to even say out loud. So,
Yeah. You have an idea of what he was
Yeah,
talking
right.
about, but you're not exactly sure. And it's just like, it's insane. That's not something that I don't like. You can't do that multiple times. Jesus Christ.
Ugh.
It's a crazy lift too, because I know that was like the goal,
Mm-hmm.
but he did it pretty clean, like he could have done a little bit more. His ears just disappeared into his head right there.
Let me bring that back.
Man, that's a big boy. And there's a lot of whip going on at that bar.
Yeah.
His ears do disappear.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because Thor is supposed to be kind of in line for maybe, getting close to this record. He tried it last year and missed it.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks like he's stronger than ever.
Yeah.
But it's also part of the Arnold Strongman itself. So I don't know if he'll be able to do it because this was only deadlifting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a way different thing. And you can see Eddie Hall just shaking there, and he looks like he
Yeah.
he passed
He passed out,
and like,
came back, passed out again.
could you imagine being one of his friends that's like going up to him, like watching his eyes roll back and stuff? You'd be like, oh my God, my friend died. What the?
And going blind? Like he said he went blind too. Like, jeez.
I really hope that Eddie Hall gets on Joe Rogan.
Oh,
They need to have him on there. He's
I don't know why he hasn't been there yet.
he's an incredible. It's in the fitness industry, there's people that are like famous. That like even like myself, I'll get noticed quite a bit. And this guy, this guy will get mobbed. This guy, like, people can't control themselves. He's got such a magnetic personality. I'm so excited. I hope it does work out timing wise that we're able to actually get him. Because when you guys get a chance to meet him, he's a bro, man. Like, he's just down. Like, he'll be fun. He'll be funny. Last year when I saw him, he was like eating a sandwich. I was like, "This is the last thing you need." He's like, "Oh, cut me some slack," he takes a picture. He takes a picture with me, and he like wraps his arm around me. He's got the sandwich like right there. Like, he just doesn't care.
Oh man.
But yeah, he'll be a lot of fun. It should be awesome.
Yeah.
Who else we got in our lineup? We have the lineup over there, Andrew.
I can find it.
Who do we got?
Honestly, like a lot of like so many people that it's hard to even
Fathom.
Yeah. Let's see what do we got.
I know Josh Settlegate.
Settle it. She put it all in one recording though. So
yeah, it's an audio.
Individual names aren't there.
That's why I don't have it.
But Jessica has it.
I got it on the calendar. I just have to pull it up. Oh, let me stop this video.
I know we have a Ruth Chris dinner as well, which that'll be a lot of fun. Going to eat a bunch of steak.
Yeah. So apparently we have JP Price, Derek Carver, Street Bike Tommy, Eddie Hall seminar, and then the next day we've got Rob Philippus,
Sweet.
Julius Maddox, Dave Tate.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
And then we have Rob Kearney and Maddie Forberg. And then we leave.
Yeah, so people listening to this right now, so this will be either live or when this posts on iTunes. If you're in Ohio, we're still going to have the free strong seminar at C-Bus Lifting Co. Maybe I'll put the address inside these show notes. But yeah, we're still going to get down.
I think people like Maddie Forberg and Steph Cohen are great examples of female lifters that have done a great job getting in better shape and getting stronger. Like, I'm not sure of Maddie's like current numbers, but I know she's had some opportunities to compete on the national level, and Steffi obviously is like breaking all-time world records.
Yeah.
But Steph is like, she just keeps getting leaner. I know she went down a weight class and things like that, but and even from a guy's perspective, I think that that whole myth of like having to be big and fat, hopefully that's kind of gone. For some people, they might have to be pretty big. You might not be able to have a really good body fat percentage because truth is some of us might need more fluff than the next person, but you can consistently look better and still lift some big weights. And I think these girls have been a great representation of that. And even in CrossFit, that's been some unbelievable changes in that too. Where can people reach you, Andrew?
Hit me up on Instagram at I am Andrew Z. Please make sure you're following the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project. We'll probably be doing all kinds of stuff on like social media for this weekend. So that way, I don't know if something comes up where maybe we'll be in a certain area, you want to come hang out. That might happen. I don't know exactly if it will. Huge thanks to everyone that's been rating and reviewing the podcast.
Yeah.
Real quick, I think it's Ronnie. We'll just say Cher says 5 stars. Quote, when all other podcasts are like Taco Bell, this one's Chipotle. Enough said.
Chipotle is my life.
Yeah. If you guys listen right now, if you want to hear your name read on air, head over to iTunes right now, drop us a rating and a review, and you could hear your name on air just like, I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong, but I think Sharoni? Cher? We'll say Cher.
Great job.
Yeah, give or take. Sorry about that, Cher. But thank you for the review. I sincerely appreciate that. Nsima, where you at?
And Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, and Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. By the way, get on those. I'll be 10-minute squatting quite a bit while I'm in Ohio because we're going to be sitting a lot. So, guys, get on your 10-minute walks each day and get on your 10-minute squats each day. Do it, Mark.
Everybody, check out markbell.com when you get a chance. You get a free week, so you may as well go check it out. There's been some secret bodybuilding techniques released on there, not by me, because that would be a very big disappointment. Jeremy Buendia and Ron Partlow, they both shared some information on there that I think you guys will love. There's some more motivational videos, and there's exclusive discounts on gear for markbellslingshot.com. So make sure you go check it out. How I lift and how I eat, all that stuff is on there. I'm at Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness, weakness is never strength. Catch you all later.